Command your mind or be ruled by it. Listen carefully. Because this is not just another message, this is a confrontation between the life you are living and the life you are capable of creating. There is a war happening inside you. Every single day, a silent war invisible to the world, but powerful enough to determine whether you rise into greatness or dissolve into mediocrity. And the battlefield is your mind, not your circumstances, not your past, not your environment, your mind. The greatest empires in history were not built with hands. First, they were built with thoughts, the strongest men and women. Whoever walked this earth did not begin with resources. They began with a decision to take command over their own thinking. Because the truth is simple and brutal. If you do not command your mind, it will command you. If you do not discipline your thoughts, they will drift into fear, doubt, distraction, and weakness. And once your mind is ruled by those forces, your life will follow. Every failure you fear begins as a thought. Every success you admire also begins as a thought. And yet most people treat their thoughts like background noise instead of the most powerful force they possess. Think about it. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light that would change the world. But what if he allowed his mind to be ruled by failure? What if he listened to the voice that said, "Stop, this is not working"? What if he believed that temporary defeat meant permanent failure? The world would still be in darkness. Henry Ford was told his ideas were impossible. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than most people would dare to endure. Yet each of these individuals understood something the average mind refuses to accept. They understood that control over their inner world was more important than approval from the outer world. They commanded their minds. And because of that, they commanded their destiny. Your life, right now, is a reflection of the thoughts you have repeatedly allowed to exist in your mind, not the thoughts you had once, not the ideas you briefly entertained, but the dominant patterns you have accepted as truth. If you constantly think limitation, you will live limitation. If you constantly think fear, you will live fear. If you constantly think doubt, you will hesitate, miss opportunities, and shrink in. Moments that demand courage, but the opposite is equally true. When you decide to take control, when you choose to think with purpose, when you deliberately install belief instead of doubt, clarity instead of confusion, vision instead of chaos, something begins to shift. You begin to see opportunities. Where others see obstacles, you begin to act. While others hesitate, you begin to create. While others complain, this is not magic, this is mental discipline. And mental discipline is the foundation of all achievement. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their mind to the world. They check their phone, absorb negativity, compare themselves to others, and react to whatever is thrown at them. They live in reaction, not creation. They allow external circumstances to dictate internal states, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel powerless, why they feel lost. But the ones who rise, the ones who build, the ones who transform their lives, they do something different. They wake up and take ownership. They decide what they will think before the world tells them what to think. They focus their attention like a laser. They protect their energy like a fortress. They train their mind like a weapon, because they understand that a focused mind is unstoppable and a distracted mind is defeated before it even begins. You must realize that your mind does not care about your goals, your dreams, or your potential. It only follows patterns. If you feed it fear, it will produce fear. If you feed it discipline, it will produce discipline. If you feed it belief, it will produce belief. So the question is not whether you have the ability to succeed. The question is, what are you feeding your mind every single day? Are you feeding it excuses? Or are you feeding it responsibility? Are you feeding it distractions? Or are you feeding it focus? Are you feeding it doubt? or are you feeding it vision? Because whatever you consistently give your mind, it will multiply. This is why clarity is power. When you know exactly what you want, when you can see it in your mind with absolute certainty, when your vision is so clear that it feels real before it becomes real, you activate something within you that cannot be easily shaken. You move differently, you think differently, you act with intention instead of hesitation. And this is where most people fail. They never define what they truly want. They drift through life reacting instead of directing, hoping, instead of deciding, wishing, instead of committing. But hope without direction is powerless, and wishing without action is meaningless. You must decide, you must declare, you must lock your vision into your mind so deeply that no external doubt can remove it. Because once your mind accepts something as truth, it will begin to find ways to make it real. This is the power that built industries. This is the force that turned ideas into empires. This is the energy that transformed ordinary individuals into extraordinary leaders. But it all begins with control over what you think, control over what you believe, control over what you focus on. Because where your focus goes, your life follows. If you focus on problems, you will find more problems. If you focus on excuses, you will create more excuses. But if you focus on growth, if you focus on solutions, if you focus on possibility, you begin to expand beyond the limitations that once defined you. And this is where discipline enters. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is power. It is the ability to act in alignment with your vision, regardless of how you feel. It is the decision to move forward when your emotions try to hold you back. It is the habit of doing what must be done, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is inconvenient, even when it is difficult. Because success is not built on motivation. Motivation is temporary, it rises and falls. Discipline is consistent, it shows up, whether you feel like it or not. And when you combine discipline with a controlled mind, you become dangerous in the best possible way. You become focused, relentless, unstoppable. But understand, this controlling your mind does not mean eliminating negative thoughts. It means refusing to be controlled by them. It means recognizing doubt without obeying it. It means feeling fear without surrendering to it. It means hearing the voice of limitation and choosing to rise above it anyway. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose belief over doubt, every time you choose action over hesitation, you strengthen your mind, you build mental muscle, you become more capable, more resilient, more powerful. And over time, this becomes your identity. You are no longer someone who reacts, you are someone who creates. You are no longer someone who waits, you are someone who moves. You are no longer someone who hopes, you are someone who decides. And decisions shape destiny. Every great achievement, every powerful transformation, every extraordinary life is the result of a series of decisions to keep going when quitting would be easier, decisions to believe when doubt would be more comfortable, decisions to act when fear would be more convenient. And those decisions are made in the mind, which means your future is not out there waiting to happen. It is within you, waiting to be commanded.